Feeling stuck or like you didn't get anything done throughout the week when you reflect back on it sucks. Let's be honest. A lot of us are so distracted. It's like we've got ads, we've got spouses, boyfriends, girlfriends, phones, beeping, bopping. There's so many things that take us away from getting stuff done that sometimes it's hard to move the needle. And so in this video, I'm gonna cover a technique that I'm using and have used before, and I actually started using this morning right before I did this video, which inspired me to share it with you, where I'm actually gonna show you what I did this morning up until now, so in the last 2 hours, and I'll show you how much value I got out of just using this technique to remain and stay focused for just 2 hours. And when you see how much I got done in that period of time and the value of it, and not even just that, but the fact that there was this urgency and this sense of like, hey, like, where are you placing your focus? Hey, should you really focus on that? It was almost like I had this other voice, like the disciplinary, like helpful, but helpful, right? Helpful voice that was over my shoulder, like, hey, you're drifting off. Hey, I see you getting distracted again. Hey, do you sure you want to go down that road? That YouTube video is 22 minutes. Is that the best use of your time? This technique works. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna show you what I created this morning so you can actually see it. Because I think when you see things, it's just easier to know what to do. It's like, just show me, don't tell me, show me. So let me show you. All right, so right now, if you look at this, and so this, I woke up at 4. You can wake up at 4 if you want, but it's not easy to get into that habit. But anyways, what's more important is that you start mapping out your time and how you're using it on an hourly basis. Now, one of the things that I like to do is I always like to wake up and before my 2 feet hit the ground, just to kick things off, I always like to come up with, as you can see here, an emotion I want to feel that day, which for me today, I chose to feel peace through small, multiple moves. And what I meant by that was, sometimes I put too much pressure on myself to get like these big things done. And it's like, well, you can't get big things done in one day. So why don't you do a bunch of little things? In other words, kind of like chunk it out, right? So that instead of me feeling like I didn't get anything done, I'm like, whoa, I can actually chunk everything out and maybe do like 10 things that are small. And at the end of the day, I'm going like, wow, I did 10 things, right? When in fact I did. It just wasn't one big thing, but it was 10 things, and that moved the needle in the right direction. And so it's important because I think sometimes our perspective and the way that we look at movement and productivity and moving the needle is sometimes off a little bit. And I think that if you chunk things up, you get that little dopamine hit, it just keeps the momentum going. Because I know for me, if I feel this big pressure to get something done, that stress and anxiety paralyzes me. I mean, I can't stay focused. My brain wants to go elsewhere. And so I'll watch a YouTube video saying, oh, I'm getting something done. It's like, you're learning something. I'm not gonna lie. Like I pick good YouTube videos to watch, but it's like, are you moving the needle? So, so that's a to feel intention, okay? So we have to feel intentions, and then we also have to be intentions. And so what version of myself do I want to be today? That's how I start my morning. And so I wanted to be my creative self today. And my feeling was to feel peace through just removing stress by getting a lot of small little things done and recording them and keeping track of them. All right, so when we look at 4 a.m., which is when I woke up, I started just writing things down. And what was interesting is this, there was a part of me that wanted to have like some really powerful, cool stuff written down, because I'm actually sharing this with a client that I'm working with because I asked him to do the same thing yesterday. So there's also a part of me where there's this accountability part, right? So I think if you were to even do this with a friend, I think that might be an opportunity, not necessary, but might be an opportunity, because I definitely feel a little bit of, and I wouldn't even call it pressure, but a little bit of, you know, kind of like, hey, you know, you better make this good or else, you know, this client's gonna be like, hey, I'm paying you to help me, but then like, look at what you did in 3 hours, like nothing. So interesting how that has been motivating for me. So anyways, you see here where it talks about how, well, you probably can't read any of my writing, so you know what, maybe we won't cover that. But what you see here is you see that as I'm going through this process, I'm making it very simple. I've got a notebook. I'm just writing down hour blocks of time, and I'm just writing a little hashtag or whatever it's called, hyphen, and just writing down notes as to, hey, what am I researching? What am I looking at? What am I focusing on? What am I thinking about? It's almost also, not almost, it is a way of building self-awareness. So as I'm building self-awareness, that awareness is of where I'm placing my focus, energy, and attention, which is the single most important thing, in my opinion, that can move the needle for you and can change your life. Because, if you focus on your problems, they get bigger. You focus on solutions, they get bigger. What you focus on expands. And, people don't realize that, when it comes to energy, right, and attention and focus, it's a limited resource. You only have so much focus, energy, and attention in a day. So where are you placing that focus, energy, and attention? And is it somewhere that matters? I think a lot of us make the mistake of thinking like, oh yeah, this matters. Like, this is moving the needle. It's like, did it really though? And it's like, well, what's your goal today? And it's like, if you have this intention and you take actions every hour that you're writing down that support your intention, like that is true empowerment. Because if you say you're going to do something, in other words, setting an intention in the morning, and then you have all this proof and evidence to support that you took actions to move the needle, which in this case today, I'm going to have that feeling of peace through all these micro movements, if you will. I'm going to have the evidence to support the belief that when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And guess what that's called? It's called confidence. It's also called trusting yourself and believing in yourself, because when you say you're going to do something, you do it. And that is an understated, undervalued thing that many of us don't understand. Like, that's where confidence comes from. It just comes from saying you're going to do something, do it. And we already know about intentions, right? Like, most of you watching this video probably have bumped into intentions. All that is a way of saying, hey, not so much what's an outcome goal, but I like to kind of make it as a feeling goal, because sometimes outcomes don't always turn out the way we want, because a lot of times we're relying on other people. Like, let's say I was doing a YouTube video today and I said, hey, I want to have on a guest. Okay. And my intention is to get this video done today. All right. Well, if all of a sudden that guest calls last minute and has to reschedule because their kid's sick or what have you, well, now all of a sudden I don't really have the outcome that I want. And I put my value and the truth behind my words in someone else's hands. And to me, that's risky. That's not super, super empowering. And so what I like to do is keep that power within and say, all right, what can I control? Well, I can control my focus. I can control my energy, my attention. I can control my feelings. Not all the time, but some of the time. And I can control my awareness. I can become the observer of me from the outside and say, hey, what are we doing here? Is that where you want to place your focus, energy, and attention? Is it moving the needle? And so if you're not getting stuff done and you're not feeling productive, let's go back to this. So all you need to do is write down, for whatever time you wake up, write down the time on the hour, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Let's say you get up at 9. Fine. 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. And what you will find, or at least what I found, is even within the first 3 hours, I'm like, wow, this is really getting me to stay focused. And it's almost like I'm holding myself accountable. A lot of us want accountability from the outside. Well, I'm holding myself accountable, because even right now I'm looking at the clock and it says 6:15 a.m. And I'm like, wait a minute. I've got things I want to be doing at 6, and this video was supposed to be done by 6. So now I'm like, all right, let's wrap it up, which I think I'm going to do right now.